Good day, duelists! This is the first Duel Masters product ever released, and in my opinion, also one of the best Duel Masters products ever released. We're talking, of course, about the iconic blue box, the first ever 2-player starter set. Being the first ever bit of Duel Masters, many players might see there was a lot of pressure on this product to do a good job onboarding new potential duelists into the game. And together in this unboxing, we'll see if it successfully accomplished this task. Let's start by taking the foil off. Looking at the box, of course, the iconic blue color of the base set, the first ever Duel Masters set. It says Duel Masters right here, shows Explosive Fighter Urkan 2-player starter set, and it says exclusive premium card, which is this Rotus that we are seeing here showcased. On the right hand side we see some iconic cards from the DM01 set, and I think these are the ones that would appear on booster pack covers as well. Aqua Sniper, Mighty Shouter, Earth, Death Liger, and Rotus, of course. Also, I should mention, I don't think you can see it on camera, but this Duel Masters writing here is like lifted. Looks really good and feels nice to hold in your hand. So on the back it says the game begins here, throw down in the battle zone and duel at a higher level. The world of Shobu is bursting with shield bashing creatures and mind warping spells. Bust open a starter set, tough it out like Shobu, never give up and rule the duel. And they tell you on the box what you're gonna be getting, so you'll be getting two 20-card training decks that can be combined into one tournament deck. Decks may contain duplicate cards, and of course this is the way that they were trying to onboard as many people into the game as possible. They would give you two half decks of 20 cards each that you could pitch against each other. Like if you had a friend, all you needed was to buy this box and both of you could play using these two decks. And then of course if you want, you can combine them into one and have a decent Duel Masters deck that you could take to tournaments or to duel out with other friends or whatever you would want to do with it. Then we had one Dreamwave Duel Masters mini comic, I don't remember this one. One exclusive Duel Masters Rotus the Traveler premium card, which of course we saw here, but we'll be taking a closer look at it later on. Then one quick start guide and one rulebook, two Duel Masters playmats, one DMAX membership offer, and one bonus pack of booster cards. We will of course see all of these as we open up the box. So speaking of which, let's just get into it. And all of the contents of the box come in this little plastic wrapper, and we've got a lot of shit to unpack here. So let's see, we have this comic book that I don't actually remember being in here, but there we go. Duel Masters comic book. There's Garabon the Glider, which is a DM06 card actually over here, so there we go. And oh wow, okay, it's an actual comic. A true master knows exactly which card to bring into play at the right moment. Those decisions have to be made in less than a split second. I mean, that's not really true because there's no time limit in most Duel Masters formats, right? Anyway, I'll leave this up on screen in case you want to read it. It's good fun, but I won't be going through all of it now. Of course, we see Shobu summoning the Bolshak Dragon and everyone gasping as he's playing against Kojo or whatever. They also seem to be explaining a little bit the game as you read this. Also, the Bolshak Dragon art is in Japanese. For some reason. They could have translated to English. I don't think it would have been that complicated. And yeah, we see Bolshak fighting Death Liger and whatever else. Cool little thing that you get over here. Next up, the quick start guide. Let's see what this one is all about. It's a sort of leaflet that opens up like this. Let me see if I can show it to you all at once. There we go. And I mean, since the video is in 4K, you can probably zoom in and read all of it by yourself, but just in case, I will zoom in a little bit. So it says, of course, the basic rules of the game. Object of the game is to break all your opponent's shields, then attack him one more time to win the game. It says everything, you know, turn phases. It explains with some nice illustrations. And after the preparation, you start the duel. It tells you the turn order. Then, of course, you know, it explains to you what summoning creatures is, that they have summoning sickness illustrated by this very cute little guy that's just minding his own business, woken up to be placed into the battle zone. It says you that you can attack and how you can win the game. And you know, this is the second side. It even says here, read the other side first. It explains some mechanics like tapping and untapping, mana, cost, sick creatures. I do like these illustrations though, they are very cute. Like, look at this, a dragon just attacking some other things. And of course it explains the basics of the game, like you can attack shields or tapped creatures, you can break shields, you can battle. It explains some basic abilities like power attacker and blocker, which I think are probably the only abilities that we will be seeing in the starter set, given that it's meant to be very, very basic. And lastly, it tells you that you can create your own deck by buying some booster packs to upgrade it, which of course we're not gonna be doing in this video, although there should be. Yeah, there we go. We might as well take a look at it now. We do have one booster pack of DM01 included in the box with the Aqua Sniper art, which I really like, that we will of course be opening at the end of the video. Then we have a DMAX membership offer, which is kind of worthless right now because this program is of course discontinued, so we can safely ignore that one. And we have two one-player mats. This is as opposed to the other DM06 starter deck that we unboxed in another video where we had this huge two-player mat. Here we have two tiny one-player mats, and I mean, the DM06 one was like a full playmat with all of the zones. This one, yeah, you can see like my actual full playmat. This just has the battle zone and shield graveyard slots, and of course you'd still be required to put your mana over here and your creatures over here, so you don't have space for those on your playmat. That said, it's still better than nothing. Like, you do have some delimiters. You have the turn order right here, so you know if you're playing, you can quickly glance here to remind yourself the basic rules if you're a new player. But of course it's not like the DM06 full playmat in that it won't offer protection. Like if you're playing on a dirty park bench or a dirty school desk or something like that, as many of us used to do back in the day, you would still have to place your cards on the dirty surface, which, I mean, as a kid you don't care, but there we go. And you do have two of these because remember, this is meant to be a two-player starter set, so you could be up with a friend, you each had your own playmat, you would put them up like this of course, and then you would duel it out with each other, which is kind of cool. Moving on, we also have this advanced rules guide, which don't read this until you've played a few games with a quick start foldout, and it does have a little seal over here. Man, this is surprisingly annoying to peel off. I'm not really sure why they decided to seal this one, like it's just a booklet, but there we go. After many battles, we have managed to open the advanced rulebook, and I'm pretty sure this is exactly the same one that we have seen in the DM06 unboxing video as well. It does tell you sort of the basic rules of the game, but in a bit more detail, and it also goes into some more advanced rules, like for example, you know, of course this is the turn order. You know, it tells you, for example, evolution creatures, which funnily enough did not come out when this deck came out, because this came out in GM01 when there were no evolution creatures. But I guess they already knew from, you know, the Japanese release that there would be some, so they decided to include this anyway for future releases. Like, you could still reference this little booklet and you would have all of the mechanics in it. It tells you how to attack, and it goes into some other thing. For example, a very interesting detail is the order of attack steps, which tells you that, for example, when this creature attacks effects happen first, then if your opponent doesn't block, follow any other instructions on your creature that apply, and only then break shields. So this is something that even you know, experienced players get wrong sometimes. It explains keywords, like more keywords than on the other playmat. It explains blocker, double breaker, shield trigger, powerful attacker, and then it tells you some deck building tips in case you want to get into that. Master rules for playing with more than two players. I've never done this, but apparently this is something that you can do. The game was not really designed for multiple players, but I guess you can do that if you so desire. Then we have a glossary of all of the terms that you might need to know to play Duel Masters, and then a base set card list that you can check off as you are collecting your cards. Further questions that players might be having. Some very interesting things. Of course, I do have this on screen. If you want to read it, feel free to do so. I am just sort of scrolling through it a bit faster. And then Knowledge's Power. Explore the entire Duel Masters world at www.duelmasters.com, a website that I used to frequent very often when I was younger, but unfortunately it is now discontinued. What do we have here? This is just a piece of cardboard, which makes me believe that this deck was actually resealed, because I don't think that was in the original product, but there we go. Putting the plastic aside, we have, of course, our two, or rather I should say our one main attraction, but split into two, the deck itself. So there's two 20 card decks for the two players that you can pitch against each other, and then another shiny foil special Rotos the Traveler. So there's actually 41 cards in total if you put them all up in one deck. And what's interesting about this Rotos, not only is it foil, but the flavor text on it, I have been to 10,000 dimensions, yet I still search for home. This flavor text is unique to this version, because the normal Rotos the Traveler does have another flavor text that you can see up on screen now. Of course, Rotos the Traveler, a very iconic card in Duel Masters, and you do get this very special version of it. And then we have the two decks that you can pitch against each other. Let's start out with the first one. We have a Fire plus Nature deck with some very decent cards. Like Draglite is a big guy, super explosive Volcanodon, of course everybody knows him. You do have Power Attacker, then Aura Blast, which gives all of your creatures power, more Power Attacker things in Dome Shell, Fear Fang, just some vanilla 3000 power. Bronze Arm Tribe, played card in competitive Duel Masters, it ramps you up in mana. Burning Mane is just a 2-drop, then Tornado Flame, Meteosaur, and a bunch of Crimson Hammers, making up for quite some removal options in this deck. Burning Power, giving your things, well, 2000 power, 3 Fire Sweeper Burning Hellion, so a lot of like quite beefy things. You have 5 4-drops and 1 5-drop. No, actually 1, 2, you have 7 4-drops and then 2 Immortal Baron Vorg. So if you look at this deck by itself, it's actually not all that bad. And I think this is something that this product did very well, that maybe some other starter products, in particular the DM06 one that we unboxed earlier, did not do that well. Like if you look at that video, you had some really shitty cards in there, like some random blockers that can't attack, you had Virtual Tripwire, you have a bunch of crappy stuff. But here, all of these cards are sort of just decent, and not only that, they have interesting play patterns, which is very good for new players. Like you have Power Attacker, right? You have Burning Power and Aura Blast, which encourages creature combat. You have Removal, which makes you think about doing things other than playing out random stuff. You have Ramp, you have a big finisher in Draglite that has to attack every single turn, so it has a bit of a downside. I really like this starter deck. And let's see the other half of it as well while we're at it. And interestingly enough, this half of the deck is actually a Nature Light half. So it's very interesting because it's not just two Fire Nature halves, it's Nature Light, and Light is one of the more interesting civilizations for base sets. So you have Trihorn Shepherd, you have some more vanillas like Burning Mane, Dome Shell that we saw here, saw in the other half as well. But also you have Forest Hornet, which is just like a normal 4,000, which you don't have in the other deck. And like when you're pitching these against each other, it's interesting if, for example, you summon a Forest Hornet and they summon a Fire Sweeper Burning Hellion. It's like whoever attacks first loses their creature, which leads to interesting dynamics. And you have a Bronze Arm Tribe and Golden Wing Striker as well. And then the light half of the deck, we have Holy Awe, which is a really cool card to include in a starter deck. Not only can it lead to very explosive moments wherein it saves you from shield triggers, but also just as a board clear, especially in decks that rely on on power attackers. It can lead to some very interesting moments. Same for Moonlight Flash, tapping things, Lock Vizier of Hunting. Sonic Wing is a bit of an interesting choice here. You choose one of your creatures and it can't be blocked this turn, but the other 20-player starter pack does not have any blockers since it's fire in nature, so I'm not sure why this is included. But anyway, Mio, Vizier of Lightning, it can tap things, and then we have some blockers. So this deck also introduces blockers, and they're good blockers. They're not like the crappy water blockers. They are blockers that can attack creatures, which is of course relevant when you have cards like Moonlight Flash and Holio. We have of course the Rotten, or like the Apple Core of Senatine J3. I always loved the art of this card. Floating trees in the sky generate beautiful light from poisoned air. Absolutely beautiful card. And then we also have Yer, Vizier of Bullets. So not as many power attackers as the other half, but it's interesting that this card just has solid vanillas and the other cards has the power attacker. So again, it leads to these interesting dynamics where whoever attacks first might lose their creature, but then the power attacker creature that just attacked might be weak and then you can swing over it. So really, really interesting dynamics, which I think is part of the reason why I like this starter set, probably more than any other starter product in Duel Masters or even Precon deck, if I'm honest. This is just absolutely great. It showcases the basic mechanics of Duel Masters in such a great way. If you pitch these two against each other, you can actually have fun with them. Which I don't think can be said about the DM06 starter set, if I'm honest. And also I think the two halves are neatly balanced. You have of course these light, powerful blockers that can swing the turn of battle together with like Holio or Moonlight Flash. But Meteosaur and Crimson Hammer, you have removal, you have Tornado Flame, maybe a Burning Power can even swing the board state around. And of course, if you decide to include the Rotos the Traveler into this half as well, you have a whole bunch of removal options. But what's even better than the dynamic of these two halves clashing against each other is if you take all of these cards and put them into one deck. This is kind of what you're meant to do. But the problem is that oftentimes that can lead to just a really crappy deck. But let me tell you, this deck, the DM01 starter deck, it may look, you know, very simple. It only has like vanillas and power attackers and such. But it's actually quite effective. Like you do have these blockers that can stop aggression. You have like taps with Moonlight Flash and Holio that can just really contest the board. You can just fight with aggression. Like you play, you know, you play a 2-drop, you play a 3-drop, and you play a 4-drop already. Like you have a solid board, and then you follow that up with something like you know, let's say a Moonlight Flash. All of a sudden you have control of the board. So what I'm trying to say is that this deck as a whole unit, it performs in practice better than you would expect on paper. And this is probably why this deck is one of my favorite products out there. The power level is there. It doesn't have any like really big things outside of like Dragide or the Trihorn Shepherd, but you can do a lot of things with just having a swarmy board of guys that attack. Especially, you know, it's not like the creatures are weak, you know, Super Explosive Volcanodon, it can go up to 6,000 and it can realistically kill almost anything from base set, but even outside of that, you know, how many creatures with power upwards of 6,000 are realistically being played. And if you want more evidence that this deck performed well, I actually have a bracket tournament for every pre-con product that was ever released in Duel Masters, and I don't think anyone expected this deck to be a favorite. Like it's the most simple starter product out there, but it actually performed really well against other pre-con products. It managed to snatch quite a few wins. So for the first ever product that people were interested in, that contained only like commons and uncommons and just a couple of rares in there, it really brought the power and you could really realistically win with this deck, which I think is what makes it so satisfying and just such an amazing value proposition and such a great introduction for new players into the game of Duel Masters. I think you can probably tell that I really consider this product to be one of the greatest products in Duel Masters because it did such a good job of onboarding new players. Of course, now that the product is no longer produced, it's not all that cheap, but it's still not very expensive. You can still find decently priced copies of this product out there, and I think it's a great introduction to Duel Masters in case anyone is interested. It used to be back in the day, not so much now, but still it's a decent value product and you can have a lot of fun with it. And now that we've had that, let's move on to the one Duel Masters base set booster pack that we will be opening here on camera, hoping to pull something good out of it, but you never know. We have on the back a puzzle piece as it came in every single booster pack. I do have complete puzzles for all of the sets if you want to check out in my Duel Masters collection video, but anyway, let's see. Wandering Brain Eater, a 2 mana 2000 blocker, very understated, but it is Darkness Civilization. Ryuso the Oracle, I really like the way this card looks, man. Like, it's a 2 mana 2000, nothing special, but I think the art on this is just really cool. Soul and Light enmeshed in a web of glory. And honestly, it's not even that bad in like a Y Starnoid deck, right? Hunterfish, a basic water blocker. Then we have Immortal Baron Vork, iconic Fire Vanilla, Fearfang, Meal, Vizier of Lightning. These cards we've also seen in the starter product. And let's see, we have Fry Vizier of Air, which I think means no foil, unfortunately. Dark Raven, Shadow of Grief, a darkness blocker. Meteosaur, a great fire removal option. And of course, Subskin is our rare. One of my favorite blockers. This is just really cool. Back in the day, you know, you would plonk this on the board, nothing would get past through it. 6000 is just incredibly strong power. Those who dwell in the sky towers eradicate all intruders. So there we go. No foil, unfortunately, but still a decent pack nonetheless. And I guess that's pretty much it. This is what you get out of the iconic DM01 starter box. Again, one of the best products you could be getting back in the day if you are looking to start out in Duel Masters, and I really think it has stood the test of time, and I do honestly believe that more card games can learn from this on how to design a good starter product to onboard new players. That being said, that's all from me, Duelist, for today. Take care and see you next time.